there be light, and there was light. Okay, so let me call on the waters. Mother Eve, intuition, revelation. I hadn't done this for a while, it's just, perhaps it's okay to say you just go in flow, but I like to consciously, when it comes to mind, of course, just really pay attention. So we can be as transparent as necessary, and be, of course, intuitive. We are listening to the divine messages while we are here, opening our mouths and our thoughts and being receptive and being the channel of the messages that are necessary for all evolution, for our growth, for all place in the universe. So talking about place in the universe, I have been talking about the fifth and eighth dimension. So I have already shown how the eighth and fifth dimension is really one and the same. So the eighth and fifth dimension, this is the template devised around the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, and this is a depiction of Mother Eve. So Mother Eve is the one who ate of the fruit of knowledge, on the fruit of evil, or the fruit of evil and good, and of course here we are talking about knowledge as well. And I like to see it as knowledge. In that it is unlimited, limitless. The knowledge that we are meant to have access to, well, it's really limitless. But what Mother Eve really wants us to know, because knowledge is infinite in that sense, is really what is necessary for us for all transition into the fifth and eighth dimension. Now, I am sure that there are many people who would acknowledge that they are already in the fifth and eighth dimension. We are talking about the mouth and the tongue, or its function. Now, this is just I say figuratively, but it's the function of what it depicts, in the sense that the mouth, with the mouth we taste, with the mouth we breathe through the mouth. Of course, we breathe through the mouth, we eat, we taste, we speak, we kiss, and there was another one that I did find out, we yawn. So there are six things that we do with the mouth. Now, it'd be interesting, or well, let's pick the nicest and juiciest of the two, although many people might not agree, but I'll say let's just do the kiss, because wasn't it the kiss that was very significant or symbolic with the sacrifice, because Christ did say to the disciples that it is the one who kisses him that is going to betray him. So there was something about the kiss. Now, of course, what we can see immediately with the kiss, there are two S's here. Now the two S's, of course, it's like 11 or 2, and that is where we have seen 11 also means 9. It also means the 11th hour. There was a lot about the 11th hour, but I'm writing, this is what Mother Eve has asked us to count backward, and so I am writing backward, and so I am saying that we have done 9/11 right now, or 11/9, and it's like saying with the 2 here, it's like saying as if there were 2 9/11s, so, but we are looking at this. So this is 11, and 11 is 22. Of course, 2 plus 2 is 4. Now we know that 4 is stability, 4 is stability, and 4 is pillars, the 4 pillars, the 4 gospels, which is another thing. We see that the gospels have been like a Christian pillars, or religious pillars, let's put it this way. We have the 4 elements and so on. We know about 4. And of course, or 4 limbs. I hadn't said that one before. 4 limbs, of course. So And on the number 4, of course, this is where we can see, I just do this intuitively, but we can see how it's correlating here. So number 4 on the sacrifice template falls under the developmental spectrum or column right here. So this cross you can see here, cross here, is meant to be like 4. It denotes 4, like the 4 points of who we are, your north, south, east and west. And it also means it's the D, it comes under the D. So DVM it would be for, and that's what we call development. Of course, under that we see that we have 3 here, and the E for that comes into the end of the word Eve, or Mother Eve right here. And if we were to add these in values, we could see that this is 8. So this is where we are being set up in this with 8. Now, like in the scriptures of Genesis chapter 1 verse 17, and this is where God set. We see the God set was right there. 1 plus 7 is 8, and also the word set equals 8. Now that's where Mother Eve is calling us, because God, or the said God, which is Mother Eve here when we are talking about the said God is 8, which is 7, 6, 4. Adding this together is 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. So that's 1, 8 we see here. And God set. So God set, S-E-T, right here, 1, 5, 2. And we add this together, gives us 8. So if we were to add this 8 plus 8 together, we have 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. Now 7, of course, coincides with the serpent, or the word 7. The word 7, we have in the middle of the word 7, Eve. Adding 1 plus 5, which the first and the last letter would give us 6. If we add 6 plus 7, we see there we have 13, which is 4. Okay. Oh, have I said? Oh, no, I've miscalculated here. So this will just give us, because Eve is 5. Eve is 5, which is 14. And 1 plus 5 equals 6. So 6 plus 5 is 11. 1 plus 1, of course, is 2. So we can see how Mother Eve is really, again, like in the word Jesus equals 11, but we see how 11 comes here into the template here, which is 5 here and 6 here. Like Mother Eve is here, 5 and 6 right here. Now, if talking about 7 as well, we also know that if we do the numerical value for the word 6, it equals 7 as well, talking about 6 days of creation. And if we do the numerical value for the word 5, as in Mother Eve, it gives us 6. So we are still now talking about 13 in this sense, where it's here. It's as if the emblem of the bee here, which is for the bucket, or under the 2 here, is being carried forth right here in this spectrum. Okay, 13 would be right here. That's the emblem. You become a new creature. Now, what I really wanted to say here as well, we know when we add 8 plus 8, we get 7, which is 16. We get 7. 1 plus 6 is 7. So the serpent, S-E-R-P-E-N-T, which was present in the Garden of Eden, I'm not going to do the math again, but that equals 7. So we see how the God set here is also, the God set is also mirroring the serpent to perfection. So the God God said is not really the God who set, but the said God, the said God, because it's S-A-I-D and God. The said God, which is Mother Eve, because the said God is the God who speaks, the God of language, the God who says, listen, listen. She's the God who says, come home, the God who says, remember, behold, I have given you all fruit-bearing tree that have its seed in it, all fruit-bearing tree that have the fruit in the seed. Well, okay, paraphrasing, but that's the said God. That's the serpent. And that hair, the word said, equals 15. It's important. I'm getting the impression that, well, the notion that Mother Eve really wants us to know that we don't have to allow ourselves to get duped by the fact that the gods have been camouflaged or under these shields of words like made and said and set and formed and planted. These active words, they are active words. So Mother Eve is saying, don't be fooled by not paying attention to the message here. These are the gods. These are their titles. So planting, the God, and God planted. God planted is the title. It's like saying the God judge, or the judge, or the lawyer, or the doctor. These were the titles. So these are the titles of the gods, and it's important we pay attention to that. I'm hearing Mother Eve is saying it's important we really listen to this. And so if we do, because it seemed like the ABC of the learning stages, or kindergarten stage of the alphabet in a way, because if someone was to put us in a class now and say, I want you to learn the ABC, you'd think they're having a laugh. But this is what Mother Eve is now saying to us, that it's important that people really come to learn these new terms again, really like the said God, and to understand the function of the God. Don't take it for granted that we are just saying, oh, we have the gift of speech and we just say things. If we understand that the gods have deposited that attribute of their makeup within us, it's like the people, for instance, who formed Facebook. It wasn't just one person, so each person had their input in creating that social network. And so this is what happened with us. The gods themselves too had their makeup in us. The God who planted, and of course that means he planted farmers in our software. The God who made what do you say made? Who made dresses, or who made furnitures, or who made well, the God who made he made us in his image and likeness. So he would have more than that. I'm believing he was had a masterpiece himself. Or the God who formed, for instance, the one who formed, of course, you would think that there is no difference with form and made, but there is a difference. There is the one who done the sketches, let's put it this way. So there would be the architect of the one who had the sketch pad and says, okay, I think you should have 2 circles here, and we call these eyes, and 2 circles there, we call these nostrils, and the big mouth, or whatever it is. So there was a form, or just the outward form. And I'm believing that, as I say, we have 9 external circles in our bodies. If you take time to really count them, of course, we have the 7 circles. So 5 on our faces, the 2 airs, that's 7, and 2 below. Okay, so we have those 9 circles, and we see that this denotes that the 9 gods of Genesis chapter 1 had left their logos, I call it their logo, on our bodies, and to say that they could identify us. That's the other thing. So they could identify us, or we could identify with them. So the God of sight, which one would have sight? When we say, of course, the one who see, and God saw. So the saw, of course, has 2 definitions with it, like a division, because, and also the sight form, and so on. So there are different aspects to that, to the God's hair. So we are looking at this, all this we are learning here is that going back to the said God, which is 6 and 8, so that would be 14. Of course, 14, 1 plus 4 is 5 again, because God is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13, that's correct. 8 plus 6, it's not 5, it's 6, right? So 8 plus 6 is 14, and of course 1 plus 4 is 5. The 5 was coming very near my brain. Knowledge. Okay, knowledge. Okay, so basically that's what the said God is about, number 5. And it's the said God who has the ability, like I was stating with the number 2, showing that number 2 is like the makeup of the serpent and the snake together. There is harmony in that stage, and this is where Mother Eve is wanting to explore this harmonic or harmonious, of course harmonic as well as a sound or a song, because you can, it's like the serpent or the snake in Jungle Book love to sing. So it's okay for us to say it. That's the movie, in case you're wondering, Jungle Book, the movie. So there we are. It's the serpent, which is Mother Eve, really wants to have this harmonious and harmonic relationship or storytelling or wisdom conveyed to us. And that by that we of course who are moving into the 5th and 8th dimension also being ready to acknowledge, and not just acknowledge, we will be able to identify our roles in the earth, acknowledge and identify our position as to whether we are a physician or a healer or a teacher or whatever it is that we are called to do. We would get that insight. But who better can we have this dialogue with than Mother Eve? Who better can really give us the brief that is necessary for our role in this dimension? Because Mother Eve has been both serpent and snake, and Mother Eve has been cast to the ground, on the ground, and back on the tree of life. Now, no matter how you heard of this story, whether because there we have the serpent is so has such wisdom, it can transform itself. Hence the thing, when we learn about the serpent was the serpent was the wisest of all creatures. The serpent was the one who said to Eve, have God said that ye shall not eat of the fruit of the tree of good and evil? Have God said that ye shall not eat of the fruit? And of course, if he's saying God have said, if ye means you, if you touch, you can imagine this is really like a child game going on. There are different ways of looking at this story. There are different layers to this story. The first that we had perhaps have served us well up until this stage, because not until you have done your ABC you can't move into BAT, bat, CAT, cat, and so on, or whether or take it to the next level. So this is why the story we had served us, because look at the serpent. The serpent it doesn't just go in a straight line, and that is life. It does not just go in a linear form. The serpent is in and out, in and out. This is the serpent here. Now, depending on our position, we may be looking at it. We can get to see it this way, where it's got its tail here and of course its head up here. So the serpent is always doing serpent thing, but we need to be in a position to understand and to see that, well, where am I now? This is, or where can, in that reflection of that W. So this is the serpent. I haven't moved it, but it's climbed up the tree this way now. So this is what we are called to be in the right position, so we can see or digest the wisdom necessary for moving into the 5th and the 8th dimension. Do join me again. I'm keeping this short now. I'm thanking Mother Eve and to helping us being transparent in what we are doing and how we are preparing for this 5th and 8th dimension. Mother Eve also has told me that, and I have made one video on this because it's a subject I really didn't want to ideally really entertain, about 144,000 chosen spoken of in the book of Revelation. And I really thought, again, like everything else with the book of wisdom, let's call it because wisdom, it's got it's a book of, well, wit. It's also a book of wit. So we're talking about the Bible. It's also a book of wit, and that's why Mother Eve is central in that book as well, because it's that in and out. She's having a game with us, or there are games happening there, and Mother Eve also knows about the gods and their own agendas and their wits and so on. But Mother Eve is calling us because she was the one who reminds her daughter, that behold, it's like really remember, and this is the thing, remember is key word for us to remember how to remember. Okay, and it's key word. Mother Eve is saying, remember, behold, I have given you all things. So in giving us all things, which of course the word give is Give, but take away the G, is really Eve. It's really Eve. So the G is like the God, the Eve God again, right there, the God Eve is really saying, I have given you everything, and it's like even everything. IVEN, it would be even again, meaning even is to have things in a balanced state. It's saying, I have given you evil, good, to really get to understand. I've given you everything in proportion to understand your makeup, to understand who you are. So do join me again, and let there be light. There was light. That's the word of the said God. The said God is Mother Eve, the serpent, Satan, Saturn, the source, waters, church. Why did I say church? I'm not so sure. But I meant Christ. Well, of course, he's the church within us as well. Christ, the Christ spirit, the pineal gland, Kundalini, the the lock, the lock, and it's also close. It's life. Mother Eve is life. Of course, we hear water is life. And so all of these equal 5, the number 5. And it's the pyramid. I loved it. I loved it when I'm back on the word pyramid and saw it equaled 5, and there was so much more to it. So let there be light. This is the light we need to be recognizing in everything we think, do, and say. Okay.